All right, hi guys. I wanted to touch base with you all regarding your outlines, just to give you some general feedback. I was able to read through everyone's outlines. I did not go line by line, every single detail about each one, but I did try to look for a couple of key things. Basic organization of ideas into two subtopics or three subtopics, depending on your paper, to make sure that everything was complete, to make sure that you had more than one source within each paragraph, and to see if there generally seemed like there was enough evidence. So based on those topics, I saw that there were a couple of things that maybe we could all kind of stand to here again. The first thing is that most of the paragraphs looked good in terms of organization, but it looked like most of you guys could use a little bit more evidence. In the sample outline that I gave, I had suggested 5 pieces of evidence. I think most of you guys did not do that. Most of you choose 3 pieces of evidence or 2 pieces of evidence. And just for this kind of paper, it's probably not going to be enough. Now, I'm not saying that there's a specific number that has to be there, but just looking at the topic sentences that you put out there, it just doesn't seem for some of you guys that you've accomplished that based on the 2 or 3 pieces of evidence that you have. So you might need to go back to your sources and get more information, or go back to wherever you were taking notes and get some more information. The point of this is that research papers usually blend different kinds of styles. Here, expository and analytical writing. Expository writing is the kind of writing in which you explain something. Analytical writing is where you analyze and make your own ideas and make your interpretations. Because this is asking you both to analyze a primary source, a movie or a book, and also to give historical context and explain what was going on in a time period, you have to do both. That's why you need a little bit more evidence. So it's okay to get a little bit more information. It's probably not going to make your paper too long. Next, please make sure to include and address both evidence from your secondary sources about the time period and your primary source. So some of you guys forgot to use information from your movie or from your book or whatever, and it does need to be like specific enough so that I can see not just a general impression of the character, but how they act, what they do. So you can use quotations directly from the character, or you can paraphrase actions, statements, or beliefs, but it should be more specific than just they are brave. Something like they show bravery when they blah. Something a little bit more specific, okay? Next, so I noticed for several of you guys, you were using both a blend of primary source information, your movie or your book, and secondary source information, but for some of you, you forgot to make the topic sentence reflect that. So if you intend to include both primary and secondary source information in the same paragraph, then your topic sentence needs to reflect the whole thing. That means that you should have the name of your character and something historical in each topic sentence if that paragraph is supposed to include both of those things. So I've given you an example here so you can see what this was supposed to be like. Obviously, I did not put in the actual facts, I just described them. You would have actual facts here. So topic sentence would be something like, Mickey Mouse's resourcefulness embodies the kind of scrappy ingenuity valued by people of the 1920s and 30s. And then my subtopics and sub-pieces of evidence would be an example from a Mickey cartoon, like Plane Crazy, and then I summarize the information. Mickey doesn't have the right airplane parts, but figures out how to fix the plane with only whatever he had around. And then some facts about Thomas Edison, who is a national hero because of his ability to persevere and invent new solutions to so many problems. And I would give some specifics related to that. And then some fact about how during the Great Depression, families had to scramble and be resourceful to avoid waste and poverty. So examples, recipes from the era that avoided hard to find ingredients like butter or eggs. So now hopefully you can see that that topic sentence reflects both the Mickey and the historical time period, and the evidence also does that. And then between those facts, I would be able to make connections. In addition, I noticed in a lot of your outlines that you were not putting in quotation marks for word um, passages from your original articles. And I could not and did not check for everyone's because that would mean cross-referencing all these articles. That absolutely will happen in your final paper. So make sure that you are paraphrasing effectively. Once again, I do have this slideshow here that I have encouraged you to look at before, and I really want to make sure that you are clear on that. Anything that you paraphrase needs to be paraphrased enough. That means to change almost all the words and the sentence structure. So view the slideshow if you have not already done so or haven't in a while to describe what that would look like. It's not a good idea to just go through a sentence and right-click and get all the thesaurus synonyms because it's going to come out awkward and stilted. Instead, try to read the fact and then try to explain it in your own words to somebody else who didn't read that original piece. Another way to do this, as the slideshow explains, is to read the original sentence and then minimize it and then just try retyping it from memory, because usually our memories are faulty enough that they won't plagiarize by accident, and then go back and check. So please follow those methods. Once you actually do write your paper, you're going to need clear transitions. Transitions could just be a word or a phrase, so it could just be also, or it could be in contrast, but more often they're going to be full sentences that explain the connections between the ideas. Don't overthink this, but explain clearly so that anybody watching could understand. I put together a video for a different one of my classes, a couple of my classes. They were doing an expository research paper, so it was a different focus than what you guys have. So there will be some things that don't apply, but I think the video in general will help in terms of giving you some options for logical transitions, and also how and when to do it in a full sentence that might be useful. You might want to watch this if you're struggling to write or after you've written a draft, so that you're not, kind of getting in your own head and kind of getting too complicated about it. But watch it once, you have a draft done, or if you're struggling to figure out what to say between the facts. In most cases, between historical facts about the same thing, or facts about the same thing, you usually don't need to transition a lot. But between connections between like a primary source and a secondary source, you'd need a big transition. Or if you had different facts about different subtopics, like I had here with Thomas Edison and the Great Depression. Those two things don't have to do with each other, but they do because they both value resourcefulness and scrappiness. So that would be an example where a longer transition might be useful to make sure that those pieces stick together. Now, obviously, this is just a couple of things I noticed in many people's. I did write some feedback, either sending it as a private comment to you or directly on your outline document, so you can go ahead and check there as well. But just because I didn't write one of these things on this document on your paper doesn't mean you should ignore it. This was just advice that I wanted to give to everyone because I saw it coming up many times. All right, well, I hope this helps. Once again, as a reminder, your paper, you should have a full rough draft due by Tuesday, by the beginning of class, and then your final paper will be due Friday by the beginning of class. Now, you will have some Macbeth stuff to do as well, likely on Tuesday to Friday, so don't, save a ton to do, but I just wanted to add in that wiggle room for both of us, really. All right, well, I hope this helps. Bye, guys. See you guys on Tuesday.